Well, looks like, including how we work, how we socialize, and get life-saving information. Isolation can also take a toll on relationships and make it difficult for singles to date. Biological anthropologist Helen Fisher says now is a time when relationships are either made or they are broken. She is also the chief science advisor for Match. That's the online dating site. Good morning to you, Helen. Good to see you.
Good morning.
So
nice to see you too.
Well, I want to talk about both kind of relationships. Let's start with singles first, and then we'll move into people who already have a partner. Because I'm thinking if you're single, now would be the most difficult time to meet somebody online or otherwise. Of course, I'm just asking for a friend. Is this a crisis right now for singles?
Actually, I think it's quite the reverse. Actually, I think it's an extremely good time.
Why?
Sure. Because, because when you, 5 reasons basically, when you interact with somebody online, sex is off the table. I mean, there's not going to be any discussion about whether you're supposed to hold hands or whether you're supposed to kiss, whether you're supposed to bring somebody home. That's number one. Money is off the table. You don't have to decide who's going to pay the bill, if you're going to split the bill. You've got enough time, even if you work at home, you've got time to do it now, and you've got something to talk about, and you've got a very intimate conversations, really. Your fears, your hopes, your dreams, your disappointments. You're going to get to know somebody very rapidly. And I think most important, it's a time where none of us have ever done this before. We are all in the same jam. And when it's so novel, and novelty drives up the dopamine system in the brain, and dopamine is linked with feelings of romantic love. So we're almost primed. We're almost primed now to start the dating process and to get to know somebody fast.
Well, Helen, then, the second set of questions then is about people who are existing couples. The rhythm of a couple's life is usually rooted around work. You're leaving the house, I'm coming home, this is a pattern of things. Now you're essentially locked in an elevator together for, an indefinite amount of time, getting to know one another again. Tensions rise. What do you do?
Even when you love each other,
Even when you love each other,
Even when you love each other.
But in my household, go ahead, and then I'll tell you.
I think there's some 3 really important things to do. First of all, you've got to create a safe space. Even if you're in a tiny little apartment and you're working back to back, you have to create a safe space so that when you're in that space, they can't interrupt, they can't talk to you. If they want to talk to you, they've got to email or text as if you're out of the house and in the office. Number one. Number 2, you've got to create some routines. The human being needs structure, and so this is an entirely new situation. So at 10 a.m., you're going to meet for an exercise class. In the afternoon, you're going to have a quiet time. You're going to do some storytelling before dinner. You're going to dress for dinner. You can't always be wearing your pajamas all day. You got to dress for dinner. And I think it's the time to make plans. I think you should start to plan what you're going to do on your next vacation, what you're going to do when you have people over, what you're going to cook, what you're going to wear, how you're going to have a party. You need to create a whole pile of things to do together. And in fact, I think it's time to play the glad game. In fact, I once heard about some people who, they got an old sheet and they put the sheet on the dining room table, and every single night they would write down something that they're glad about, something that happened today, some tiny little moment when your partner said something interesting. So it's a time to be creative.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to go back to singles for a second about the digital connection. And I'm not even talking about sex when I ask this question, but isn't physical touch and physical interaction important? There's only so much, I think, a connection you can have looking at somebody on a screen. That's why I'm thinking that it's hard.
Well, it's a difficult time, there's no question about it, but we are a mammal. We're built to touch, and the very moment we can get out and touch somebody and look at somebody across the table, we are going to do it. Touch is eternal, and we will get back at doing it. I actually, really think that it might be a new stage in the courtship process. First you're introduced to somebody, and that's all these dating sites are, is introducing sites. Then you get to know them on the internet. You see them on the internet. You can have a date on the internet. You can decide to have cocktail hour with somebody and have a drink with them on the internet, or even cook dinner with them or watch a movie with them. There's all kinds of people who've had a long distance partnership for a long time. Somebody who lives with a truck driver, or somebody who lives with somebody's in the military. They find all kinds of ways to do things together online. This is entirely possible. There's a lot today to be worried about, but this is not one of them. dating will go on, and I think in a very good way. We'll get to know people better, faster.
All right. I hope you're right, Helen Fisher.
Dating will go on. Mating in captivity will go on as well, I think. The baby boom may be real.
I know. Helen, they were talking at the end of this, we're either going to see high divorces or we're going to see lots of babies. It'll be interesting.
There's a lot of data on that. After Hurricane Hugo in 1989, there were a lot more divorces, but there were also a lot more marriages.
Yeah.
All right. A little bit of both. Thank you, Helen. We appreciate it.